Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about how to paint skin tones with watercolors. First of all, yes, you could use just the regular brown that comes with whatever watercolor you have. Chances are, if it's just a starter set, there's just one brown. But that being said, it doesn't really offer you a whole lot to change from unless you're adding color to it, but even then it's kind of difficult. So we're going to take a look at how to do it just with the primary colors like we do so many other things. As you can see, this brown doesn't really get a whole lot of play from me for that reason. It's just not as versatile. So there are two ways that you can make your skin tone lighter or darker, and that has to do with adding or not using a little bit of blue. The other way is just watering it down. So remember, that's the great thing about watercolors is you could just use a very low opacity or just a glaze. And I would recommend doing that anyway when you first start painting a figure, because everybody has highlights and shadows in their skin, and some of those highlights are going to turn out to just be a glaze. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. For this first set, as you can see, we aren't going to use any blue whatsoever, but we're going to use a mostly yellow base. So the first thing that I want to do is mix quite a bit of pigment. So I'm swirling around in here a whole lot. That's a very low opacity. And then of course, like I said, because this is mostly yellow, I'm going to add way more yellow than I just added of red. So remember, the more time that you spend swirling around in the pigment, the thicker that the color is going to be. Now I'm going to, for this project anyway, I'm going to try to make a very, very large batch, because I'm going to use basically the same mix all the way across, because I want to show you guys how you can kind of get a different color just with blue alone. I've stuck some white paper under here too, so that you guys can see the color a little bit better rather than the gray of the desk kind of obscuring it through the clear palette. Okay, so first I'm gonna dip into the water and get a very low opacity version of this, and then just put a glaze over. All right, and then you're gonna wait for it to dry. In this case, I'm gonna wait for it to dry because I want you guys to be able to see the massive difference that it makes just to add a little bit more paint. You certainly don't have to have a heat gun. I just figured that I would use that just so that you guys didn't have to wait so long. So just to kind of remember, that's where we're starting. And then if we add just another layer of color, we're already getting much darker. You can see how much of a change even just one more layer makes. All right, great. Let's mix all of that back together, and then let's add just a little tiny bit of blue. All right, once again, let's start with just a glaze. You can see how that's already turning into a bit more of what you think of as the traditional brown. All right, and let's add even more. So as you can see, I haven't done anything to change the color in this one or then after in this one. It's just adding more layers that's making it darker. All right, let's go again with even more blue this time. And clearly that was a little too much that got on my brush since the palette was wet. so once again, let's just do a glaze here. And if I add another layer, all right, so once again, not making any huge difference other than I'm creating kind of what different tones would be. That being said, not only would I use all three of these tones on one person's face to show highlights and dark places, I would also even use some more red bases as well for any places that's reflecting like a different color in the room. All right, I'm gonna give this just one more coat so we can see it in the end. All right, let's wipe this down and start over. Okay, so this time around, we want to do a little bit more even of yellow and red. All right, again, we're gonna start with just a glaze. Let's make it a little bit softer than that. And it looks like my color's pretty close to the first one, so I'm gonna add more red to the whole thing. All right, so there's my glaze. Third coat. Let's hit that one more time just so you can see a little bit more of the difference. There we go. All right, so then we add just a little bit of blue. Second coat of the same color. And third and or fourth. All right, so then we add just a little bit more blue again. As you can tell, the glaze coat's easier on the first level. Once you then start to add layers of glaze, they make less and less of a difference just because the paper is already painted at that point, and so it absorbs a little less paint each time. I'm gonna give the whole second coat. All right, let's clean up and then start the last one. Okay, so remember for our last layer, we're going to add more of a red base, which the red makes more of a difference than the yellow, so we're still gonna start with just a little bit of red. Go nuts with the yellow and then come back with the red. I'm gonna thin that out and then paint up here to kind of see where a difference we're talking. Let's go just a splash more. All right, this is it, guys. We're going glaze first. All right, so now we add just a little bit of blue. All right, and this time we add more blue. have it. So hopefully this chart will help you to know what you need to add to be able to create the skin tone that you're looking for, or the shadow or the highlight that you're trying to accomplish. Just keep in mind that opacity of the watercolor makes a big difference. And if you do choose to use the regular old brown, that's fine. I would just recommend that every now and then you add a little bit of color, a little bit of yellow, or a little bit of red, or whatever you need to try to get a little bit closer to that person's either skin tone or just where it happens to be reflecting any sort of color. All right, good luck.